With practice exercise 14.5 equals, we're going to write a method called equals, and it's going to take two parameters and two stacks specifically. So let's make a stack. We're going to take our type integer, we'll call it S1. We're going to take a second stack, still of type integer, we'll call it S2. And we're going to return true if the two stacks are equal and return false otherwise. And then it tells us more parameters about what it means to be equal. So we know it's going to return a Boolean, true or false. The first thing that we can do is compare sizes. So if our sizes are not equal, we automatically know that there's nothing to look at here. If they're not equal, then they're obviously not equal. So we're going to say if our size1 dot size does not equal to our size2 dot size, we're just going to return false immediately. Otherwise, we're going to be down here. We may use one stack as an auxiliary storage. So let's do that here. I'm lazy, so I'm just going to copy this right here. We have a stack integer. We'll call it S3, and we'll set it equal to a new stack type integer. So this is going to be our auxiliary storage. From here, here's how I'm thinking about it, right? So we have our S1 and our S2. We want to compare it. Now, we can't just return immediately because we need to fill this, but we also need the two stacks to return to the original order. So we have to fill these back. Now, what I'm going to want to do is run through the entire thing because it could be at the very end where we hit our false point. And we're going to need to replace everything back into here because the only way to look at everything through here is with a pop. So to do something like that, I'm going to store the return value in a Boolean of here. We'll do Boolean, we'll call it answer, and we'll set it equal to true originally. So if we have two different values, it's going to set this to false, and then we're going to return this at the very end. So at the very end, we're going to return our answer. We can end this. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to use a while loop, and since they're both the same size, we're going to do while s1 dot is not empty, which is basically not s1 is empty. Inside of here, we first want to check if it is the same or not. So to check if our two values are the same, we're going to use a peek, so we don't remove it yet. We're going to say if s1 dot peek, and if this is not equal to our s2 dot peek, we know that our answer should be equal to false. And by the way, just so we can visualize this better, let's make two stacks right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. And then I'll do 5, 6, 7, 8, and actually remove this fifth one. That's enough for an example. Matter of fact, this is enough for an example. So we have 1, 2, and 5, and 6 in our stack 1 and then stack 2 respectively. So after this, what we're going to want to do is we want to look at the next ones, right? So we can push our current ones to this stack. Inside of here, we're going to do this push, and this doesn't matter if it's false or true. We're going to want to do it either way. So after we compare this, we can see that these two are false. Actually, let's say that they're true, right? If they're true like this, we want to push both to the stack because we are going to need to push both of them back to our S1 and S2. So we'll do S3 dot push, and we're going to push. We can do either S1 or S2 first. Let's do S1 just to stay good with our order. So we're going to do S1 dot pop, and that's going to remove this one right here, right? So remember, we have 1, 2, but now we're just going to have 1 in the first one. Then we're going to do S3 dot push, or your S2 dot pop, and that's going to remove this second one. So now we just have 1 and 5, and then we are going to remove this one, and then we are going to remove this one at the end. So remember, our S2 is the last thing removed. So when we put everything back in, this is going to be the first thing that goes in. So that's pretty much for this while loop right here. After this, we are just going to want to return everything back to its original order. So we'll have a while. We're going to run this as long as our S3 is not empty. And empty, yep, good. So inside of here, we are just going to want to add back. So we're going to do S2 dot push. We're going to do S3 dot pop. That's going to pop out of our S3, and then same thing with our S1. We're going to push from our S3 dot pop. Pretty much it. If you do have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments below, or you can email me. Let's see, I do have an issue here. So size does not equal 2. That's what I meant to do right there. We're going to return false. There's more problems in the playlist link below the like button that we go over, and that will pass 6 out of 6 tests. Hopefully that helps you understand stacks better. If not, again, there's always more problems below, and you can always leave a comment.